guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident Podcast, a weekly chat about socially conscious topics impacting the culture. Welcome. And today we are glad to have our most favorite co host, Sambaza, host and creator of the Sambaza podcast. He is a three-time nominee for Best African Diasporan Podcast by the APVA. He is from the Republic of Kenya in East Africa, and he has been a presenter at the Afros and Audio Podcast Festival discussing Africa. All right. And he was also an ambassador. His podcast has been covered on Joe Love Radio Media. Welcome, Sambaza.
Hey, Jen, welcome again. And thank you for having me today. It was another day.
It
Ah,
is. It is. And so today we don't have a guest. It will just be Sambaza and I discussing some things. And so we just had the historic 2024 presidential election. A lot of important things were on this ballot. And so we definitely want to have a chat about this and reflect on our feelings and some of the important factors that we want to share with our viewers. And so, and then also we will have an important update concerning podcast festivals. So, and Baza will share more details on that. But yeah, so we want to talk about the 2024 presidential election. This is a big one. And before we get started, we just want to acknowledge that people may have a lot of strong feelings about the outcome of this particular election. And so I found a really good post, and I just want to share some of this information. It actually was shared by Brianna Lauren on Instagram, and it's an article that shares 5 ways to honor your feelings about the election. And so the first one is that it's okay to feel disappointed in the results. So if you feel disappointed, it basically just indicates that your feelings are valid, and it's natural to feel disheartened or disheartened by the particular outcome that does not align with what you believe in. And then two, it's okay to have held on to hope. Hope is powerful and brave, and it drives us to dream of better. So even when things are uncertain, holding on to hope is a form of resilience. So I thought that was really powerful message to share with, we have uncertain futures. It's okay to hold on to hope and be optimistic about what is to come. Two or three, it's okay to voice how you feel. Expressing your feelings is important, whether it's frustration, sadness, or something else. Your voice matters, okay? Four, it's okay to wonder what the future holds. Change can bring uncertainty, especially when it feels personal. Let yourself reflect on what might come and how you can stay grounded. So I thought that was important. And the fifth one that is shared, and we're just talking about ways to feel and process the outcome of this particular election. So the fifth one was it's okay to need time to process. So processing takes time. Whew. Align yourself, allow yourself space to understand what this means for you and your loved ones and the world around you. So I wanted to share that. And these were 5 ways to honor your feelings after this particular election, the 2024 election, which gave a particular outcome. So in this episode, we'll talk about, let's see, the our reflections for this particular pivotal moment in history, the outcome of the 2024 presidential election, where it did bring out some historic firsts, and we'll talk about some of those historic firsts, which are very significant, record-breaking voter numbers and impactful policy changes. So there's a few particular pieces of policy that were included in this ballot, and so we want to touch on those as we share other reflections. And Sabaz, I'll let you share before we go further.
oh, by the way, we're sharing the facts, right?
Sure.
or but before we get to the whole point, I want to say something about the elections. Forget about the who's winning and who lost, right? I think as an immigrant, right? I'm talking from an immigrant perspective. I really enjoy how the elections are conducted. You know, like CNN and all these other stations, right? They have analytics, and the analytics are really great. They've been preparing for a long time. You know, they ask questions, they do these case studies before we get to the elections. That at the point at which you are going to the elections, they've already done key studies like whose popularity, what are the key factors, like if it was
Hmm.
economics, if it was the way standard of living, or people are scared of immigration, or whatever it was that was a question that any one of the candidates said. They asked if it was very important and what they thought about it. And I just like the way they did the reporting. When it comes in, the votes come in, and then you're told, okay, this is 10% of the votes that have come in, and then you're told, okay, this is how much it is. Then you see the battlegrounds where they are. It's like a chess match when you
Now,
look at it.
you're talking about the media, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about the media. And
Okay.
when you're looking at it, I'm I'm enjoying that part, right? I know there's a stress involved in it as you are waiting for your party to win, but just
Hmm.
the fact that they have that information readily available. When you compare to African countries, I mean, that's a marvel. Kenya tried it. However, at some point, I think they shut it down because the
Okay.
results were coming in and they couldn't picture how the results were coming in real time, and
Hmm.
people were collecting the data. However, that is something to marvel about, and I'm amazed all the time, and even win or lose, just the excitement of Tapper on CNN with his magic wall trying to show
Okay,
all
there
that.
you go. That's where I was. That's where I was trying to get to. Now, the media, you may have that opinion about media, but depending on the station or the channel or the brand, sometimes there's a narrative. I would say, shared for sure.
Okay, but still, whatever narrative is shared,
Hmm.
just the way you get the information, and then they predict, they say, whatever CNN, because maybe I'm whatever the CNN is Fox for. uh, they say they're projecting this person is winning and this is going on.
Hmm.
It's truly amazing. That's an
Okay.
amazing feat, right?
Okay. That's an
So
interesting opinion. Others wouldn't see it that way because CNN is thought to be, liberal and more, that type of thing where you have your Fox News and you can look at maybe just 15 minutes of Fox and you kind of get, hey, there's a feeling here. You start to get, a particular feeling on that. And that's, considered to be more non liberal or more conservative, I guess would be the right way to say that.
so I've had a choice of having not to be able to use CNN. In
Uh
Africa,
huh.
they were having
Yeah.
Fox 4 News in 2016 when it was Trump and Hillary, and I had to sit and watch it. But still, the excitement was still there. Just the way the information is coming in, and they tell you these are the battlegrounds, this is what so and so is winning, this is what is going on. I mean, it's, that chess match is extraordinary.
I know, I get it. I get it. So,
All right.
okay. So, thank you for sharing that. So, and I guess we haven't said this. Speaking of facts, so Donald J. Trump is said to be the projected winner of the 2024 U.S. presidential election. Now, Kamala Harris, who is our current
Are you
vice
saying projected?
president,
He's already president elect.
I just said that.
Projected winner? No, he's president elect. It's already a
He's
done
a
deal.
president elect. Thank you for the
Right,
correction.
right,
President, I'm copying and pasting something from yesterday then. Okay. President elect. Okay.
uh-huh.
Hang on. Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris could have made history, but she would not be the first woman to lead a country. So we added some information that we found about other women who have led countries, and we wanted to share that there. So Kamala Harris, who is our current vice president, okay, she could have made history being the first Black woman to be president, but she would not be the first woman to lead a country. So Ellen Johnson Sirleaf made history as Africa's first elected female president. Sambaza.
Sorry.
That's okay. Okay, let's say that again. So, so Donald J. Trump will be the 2024, or he is the 2024 president elect. All right. And Kamala Harris could have made history as becoming the first Black woman president, as she is our first current vice president who is a Black woman. But she would not be the first woman to lead a country. All right. So Ellen Johnson Sirleaf made history as Africa's first elected female president back in 2026. And her term, or she was held that position until 2028. All right. And then going further back in history, a Siri Mavo Bara Aikike, and you can correct me on that pronunciation because this is someone from Sri Lanka. She was the first woman elected as a head of a state anywhere in the world when she became prime minister of what is now known as Sri Lanka, and this was in 1960. Okay, there was also a leader in Mexico, a Claudia Sheinbaum, who took office as um, president in Mexico. So we've had some, female leaders in other parts of the world. We wanted to share that information with you guys. So back to the U.S. Obviously, all right. Wanted to talk about a few of the first that came about with this election, and then we'll talk about some of the significant pieces of policy that were included on the ballot. Okay, and then before we do that, we'll acknowledge our chat. Thank you guys for tuning in. Sabaza, are you able to acknowledge the chat, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I'm able to acknowledge the chat. Ed Campbell, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us, and everybody else who's online. And he asked this question: What's the noise? Ice cream truck coming through on podcast? Some people are just trying to call me. I'm trying to, they're trying to get at me. So, yep,
Okay,
may
you're
come
so
again, but who
silly.
knows?
Okay.
So,
So,
what are
shout
we
out to
doing
the
next?
chat.
Hmm.
Yes.
Are we
So
doing the
we were
demographic shifts?
so now if you
Mhm.
you may have been on mute when we said that we were going to talk about our first
Oh,
significant historic first that were a part of this election, because there was many
okay.
significant things up and down this ballot, and then we were also going to talk about some of the significant pieces of policy before. Okay, so do you want to
All right.
share
I'll take
the
the first one.
okay, yeah, let's
Yeah,
do it.
we'll talk about Donald J. Trump. Is it Donald J. Trump or whatever? Okay,
Mhm.
Donald Trump. He took victory over the Vice President Kamala Harris yesterday, becoming the first ever convicted felon. Wow, to become president elect. His running mate J.D. Vance will be the first millennial vice president elect, and um, he also becomes the only second president to have won an election in split terms. Now, the previous president to do so was Grover Cleveland. He won the 22nd and the 24th, which he served. The first term he served in 1885 to 1889, after which he lost to Benjamin Harrison. Oh man, this was a long time ago. Then he won the coveted seat again in 1893 to 1897. One thing they said is that those terms, they were not the happiest terms
Mhm.
for him. And I think maybe the same for this one, but who knows? This That's just what they said. But let's go about some fun facts, right? Let's throw in here. Both these two actually have Jersey ties. President Trump has a golf course already in Jersey, and Cleveland was born in Caldwell and was buried in Princeton, which he lived when in his later years,
Mhm.
before he was buried there. Both of them made their bones in New York. They started the business or whatever they became known in New York, because Trump became an entrepreneur. We all know him for that. And Cleveland was a mayor of Buffalo, and then he was a governor of the state. Now, the other thing is, they both came to the White House office for the first time amid sex scandals. Wow, what a
Mhm.
coincidence. All right, that's what I have for them. Any
Okay.
fun, any facts you have for the first? You can go ahead.
Okay. I had something about JD, but that's okay. You didn't read that part.
Is it the one that he's the youngest to serve in the office? He was
Yeah.
born in 1984. Golly,
He is very young. He really
40
is.
years old.
He's 40 years old. And
Wow.
his wife will be the first Indian American Hindu second lady. So I did not know he was married to a person of color. So that is interesting. I think maybe we did know that because I guess they come to all
Yeah.
the if it's, I guess I just that didn't register in my mind. So that is interesting. But we did have some African American women who made some significant firsts that we definitely want to share and highlight. Lisa Blunt Rochester is the first woman to represent Delaware ever and the fourth African American woman to serve in the Senate. So congratulations to her, and she will be sworn in January. And then Angela also Brooms, is that correct? Also, Brooms is the first African American woman to represent Maryland in the Senate. All right. And then we had some other significant firsts in this election, which was Andy Kim, who is the first Korean American to serve in the Senate. And he is a Democratic representative for New Jersey's 3rd district right now. And then there is a Sarah McBride, who is the first openly transgender member of Congress. And I believe she is out of Delaware as well. And then oh, there was another leader, female. Oh no, this is the first. Another first was Hilda Momanyi
You got it.
Helsley, and she became the first Kenyan born American to win the Minnesota House of Representatives. And that's from the Democratic former Labor Party. So she'll represent the District 38A. And so that was another significant kudos to Kenya.
Hey, you need to add this part. Her family relocated to the United States when she was only 9 years old. So imagine, at the age of 9, to become where she is right now. And shout outs to you, Jen, for saying that name Momanyi really right. Yes, you did it. I think you sitting with me is rubbing.
Is that what
The
it is? That what it
Indian in me
is?
is rubbing off on you. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. All
All right,
right.
let's go ahead with the next. I think you're talking about. We're going to talk
Oh,
about.
you know what? You didn't mention Denise's comment. She made a comment.
Where's Denise? Where? I didn't see any comment by Denise. Great information. Unless mine is not refreshing. I gotta
You
refresh.
must not have. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, she sent you to a personal one. Hey.
No, she didn't. It was in here.
Thank you. She is the Healing Session, Heal, Empower, and Release, Denise. And she says, great information. And welcome to
Yes.
the show. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yes. Thank you. Shout out to the chat. We appreciate all of you guys for checking us out, even afterwards on the replay. We appreciate everyone. Um, yeah, we really do.
All right.
Let's
So, Jen,
see.
there were policies that were being talked about in these ballots that we had to go around. and vote for, and some of them are really really significant. I think, can you highlight some of them?
Yes, and so some of those policies were reproductive rights, the minimum wage increase, marijuana legalization, education funding and curriculum, and voting rights, election integrity. And so these were some of the big ones. I know here in Missouri, I will share that the reproductive rights did pass. So that was very significant. And, we definitely consider that a victory here, that women will be able to have the freedom not to be infringed upon by the government, to make a choice about their bodies, whether it's a matter of life or death or just a personal choice, that right was not taken with by this particular policy. The other significant one here in Missouri I will share is the minimum wage increase. So it will be increased to $15, which
Hmm.
a lot of people who, did not have the opportunity or capacity to go to college, they're working minimum wage jobs. A lot of people are, who are not just teenagers. And a lot of the times the train of thought is, oh, it shouldn't be, $15 or whatever the number people think is too much for a minimum wage job because it's just designed for teenagers. But the reality is, there's really grown people feeding their families and running their life from a minimum wage job. And sometimes it's just the way things are, whether it's a second job or your main jobs, it happens a lot. And so, we definitely want to support the people. And, the reality is, a lot of people are a lot of unskilled people who do have to refer, to these types of jobs. So that's definitely a win. You know, we
And
consider that a win.
what's funny is, when you look at it, 20 years ago, that minimum wage was at about $7. So even right now, as it increased to 15, it's still minimum, and it's not even enough, because remember,
Absolutely.
inflation has gone up and a lot of things have gone up. So it kind of begs the idea of it should be more, but
Right.
I mean, you have to start from somewhere. When you look back at
Yeah.
what was minimum wage then, is now increased. So there has been an increase. The one thing that was peculiar about the Dallas, I was listening to the
Mhm.
news today. Dallas have they signed another into what they voted on, that you could sue the city if they are
Mhm.
not following their charter. So it allows the residents of the city to sue the city if they are not following the charter. Now I don't know how this works, but it may be something interesting to look into, or maybe somebody wants to find out more. That could be something that is worthwhile to know, that some of these questions can be put in. Another thing is that they also were saying that they needed a police force of a minimum of 2,000 that have to
Mhm.
be put out there, and they were going to get some funding. They had to have 2,000 officers. Now the only problem about that was, now if they were trained or not trained, that was a big question.
Mhm.
But some of these, you have to kind of go and look at them seriously and look at the ramifications. Maybe one day, if we have a chance, we may get somebody who can come in on the show and talk about these issues that we have. Like, for example, what we talked about: minimum wage, marijuana
Yeah.
legalization, and reproductive rights. Maybe Solana might come back again. Who knows? Or somebody
Yes.
who is aware of these issues
Mhm.
at stake, and then can tell us, in depth, how they affect us, and how we have a way of dealing with them when we lose, or we don't vote for them. What are the ramifications on either one? So I think
Right.
that this will be a good stepping stone to start off, as something to look forward to in the future.
Definitely. And that's the one thing that we can be optimistic about. I think I see a lot of people really emotional about the overall outcome of the president, but you have to look at everything. Like, this is one of the longest ballots that we had in Missouri. I don't know if you guys' ballots was a full two-pager. Yeah, this was one of the longest ballots, and I actually worked the election, and I had a lot of people like, I don't know what this
Oh,
means.
you did? You worked the election?
I did. I was an election
Okay, okay.
judge.
Now let's stop right there. How was it? And what
Oh
kind of
my
job? What were you
God.
doing? Yeah, tell us.
Okay, so this is my second time being a judge. I've done it in prior elections, but I definitely want to be a part of this process. So I was debating on if I wanted to volunteer or actually be an election judge. And I said, you know what, I want to be official. So I went through the training and got my election judge credential. And so, we had different roles, but the majority of my time was doing the curbside. We have a lot of people who are elderly or need support and they're not able to come inside. So we have curbside voting available for people, which is really great because in the past that was not available. This is something that because of these different types of policies is available. So I was glad to provide that service to the people who need it. And we basically collect their ID and confirm their information and process and go get their ballot and come and bring it back out to them and go cast their ballot, come bring them a sticker if they want a sticker, and they're legit. If they have to resolve issues and we have to call into the election board, we do that for them right at the curb if we, and just take care of them just like anybody else that could walk in, which is really great because everybody is, and we even had a 92-year-old person, you know, be brought in by a family member. So that was really kind of cool to see, that someone made sure to bring this elderly person, their loved one, to the presidential, election to come vote. So it was really we had a lot of people, and we worked like probably 16 hours. It was a long day, but I definitely was proud to serve in this capacity. So it was definitely hard work. But yeah, we took care of our and our voters and our we appreciate everybody who came out to vote. So,
I like that what you said, and people do their civic duty and go the extra mile, and
mhm,
I think I will appreciate you for doing that. That was very great of you doing that. One interesting thing was somewhere in Nevada they were having this problem of the millennials,
mhm,
the younger kids who, when they sign the documents, the signatures, they don't know how to sign a signature, so they sign the signature today. Tomorrow is going to be different, not realizing that it has to stay the same way. So the officials were having to call them so that they can verify that that was the signature. The squiggly thing that they do.
yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the problems. And I was saying, maybe they just need to use their thumb and go
That's a
back.
thought.
Yeah, rather than starts the squiggly thing, cursive writing your
Mhm.
signature, because they don't know it. But that was another interesting thing that was happening today. And Jen, we appreciate your service. So I guess we can continue from where we left off.
Yes, you know what? There was one other thing that I wanted to put it up higher. That okay, so feelings. I guess you can give your reflection on the outcome of the presidential election. We talked about it's okay to feel disappointed and things like that. Do you feel disappointed, or what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, to me, I'll say this: there's always going to be a winner and a loser, any case, right? And
Mhm,
as I said, just do your civic duty, go and vote, because if you don't vote, you're essentially allowing, one, you're not represented, and two, if they see the numbers, because most of these politicians, when they're looking at the results, they're looking at how many people came to vote. Yes, you are registered voters, but who came to exercise their votes? Now, if you're part of that crew that went to vote, that shows that there is some inclination that, if I don't do my job right, I'm going to get fired from this job. That's
mhm,
what going to vote actually says. So for me, win or lose, still, that fact that you went out there, took your time, and put in your ballot there tells a lot about what you feel in your election, in your county, in your surrounding, where you live at, and whatever is happening around you. You are aware. Okay, maybe you can say you're woke if you want to do that. But another thing is, we have to realize also that there's the presidential and all these other things that go on right on the top part. There's still something else that goes, the local voting for your school board and whatever's happening on the back. those are very, very important because a majority of those are the ones that determine your life ahead.
Absolutely.
Make sure, make sure you go and vote for those. Again, win or lose, don't worry about it. Worry about you going to make that choice and then look in the future. Because, hey, if you go and vote and talk to somebody and tell them I voted, or you go with your kids to vote, that's something that will stick in their mind, that they go with their parents to vote, and this will stick with them as they go along and become voters themselves. So
Right.
plant the seed, and let's have this to move on. I think we are discussing about that in the liquor podcast the other day, regarding how we, when we vote, we now are able to influence the future generation to
Mhm.
see that, we're actual voters, right?
Right. And then I just thought of this thought when you were speaking. So, while Kamala Harris did not win, the presidency, a lot of the policy that she advocated for did pass in many states, including, I just mentioned in Missouri that we got our reproductive rights and the minimum wage. And those are things that she fought very hard for. So, and it's interesting. I saw a post that highlighted while people didn't pick her, they picked some of her policies. So that's a, influence right there, So she made her impression and she ran a really great campaign. And you have to look, this is another fact that, what was that? So it was July 21st that Joe Biden announced his withdrawal. So, we're going to assume that that wasn't some kind of hatched plan and that, she really was just sprung into action to run and start her presidency campaign at that point. Like literally, it was kind of a mad dash to find a running mate, and it was a mad dash. So it's really kind of unfair, you know what I mean? That she didn't have the same opportunity. She's running the role of vice president. It wasn't supposed to be running for president on July 21st. That was a surprise, or it was supposed to be a surprise to us, in the United States. So, for her to just be starting her campaign to what she did, I mean, that's a job well done. I mean, and then the policies that she pushed for passed in several states. That's very significant. And you got to think of it that way. So, I saw people crying their eyes out, huffing and puffing, and having fits and everything. But she made a significant impression in this country. And, that will forever be her legacy. So, she definitely is on her way, to do great things. It has done great things for this country, for the people.
And I want to add one more thing about regarding these elections and going forward.
Mm-hmm.
There is a newsletter that's out there that I'd advise people to go subscribe to. It's called Tangle, Tangle newsletter. Now, this newsletter is from our reporter who, they will always look at the news in the middle. They will not take for any side. Doesn't matter who is in power. They will look at every information that is there and then decipher and go back in history and tell you what's going on. The reason why I stress about this is because they were featured on NPR, and the reason why they were featured on NPR is because some of the families, some people, like Jen, your partner and you, or me, my wife and I, or you and your husband, whatever it is. Let's just say whoever is with you, right? Um, you can have differing views. You could be a Democrat, you could be a Republican. You marry each other, and then you have to talk about these things, what policies you're going for and what have you. Now people end up fighting over that, and they just leave in despair. And
Mm-hmm.
actually they were highlighting, in that program they were highlighting families who were living in despair regarding, because one was a Republican, one was a Democrat, and one was a liberal, one was conservative. I mean, this was to a point where one of the ladies could not even conduct the conversation in front of her husband. She had to go outside and make a telephone conversations. Now, the reason why I say this is
Mm-hmm.
one of the other ladies was able to sit with her husband and read the newsletter, Tango.
Mm-hmm.
And when they read the Tangle newsletter, they were able to have conversations because it was like, oh, this thing they did this and this thing they did that. I mean, he'll take what the Democrats are doing and what the Republicans are doing and say, okay, this is right, this is wrong, and he'll do the work for you. So if you're gonna go and have a discussion, I'm telling people, read that newsletter, and then you can have a sober conversation with other people. That's all I have
Even
to say
your
about
family members.
it. Even your family members,
But
because
when you
hey,
mentioned that that the decisiveness in the family and all of that, it made me think about, and I can't remember the name, but I want to say that there's going to be a documentary about it, or no, there's a book. So the insurrection, right? We're talking about Donald Trump, okay? So one of the gentlemen that were a part of the insurrection and wreaked havoc, on January 6th. Okay, so when he got charged, it basically created all this turmoil in his family. And you know what I'm talking about? And like I want to say either the daughter wrote a book or is it the wife, but basically the family had to like basically testify against him and share that he had these, feelings and he's done all these activity and actions leading up to it, kind of like put more charges on him. And is basically like she wrote about how it tore their family apart, and she had, like went into detail about it. And so yeah, these kind of things can rip your family apart for sure.
I think there was even one of the boys reported his dad, snitched on his dad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
so it does
Hmm.
create some divisiveness in the family, or creates a, a divide within families. I know one of I've met somebody who they were told that they're not invited to the Thanksgiving because of
Hmm.
that. It
Yeah.
happened the last election where Biden won. They voted for Biden, and then the family is
Hmm.
not for Biden, and they told her upright, look, come Thanksgiving, don't show up. We good.
Hmm. I believe it. Yeah, these people have had families
Politics.
break up for less. Okay, look. And people in the family don't
That's what
speak
they
to
tell
each
you at
other for
work,
less.
and
Okay?
that's why they tell you at work, don't bring politics in here. Don't bring politics in here
Yeah.
because it can miss a whole bunch of people.
For sure, for sure.
Mhm.
And then look, Denise, absolutely. Okay, thank you for staying with us. Thank you. Appreciate that. But yeah, okay, I got my point in there. So, if you are ready to pivot in the conversation or any other election thoughts.
Nah, I think I'm good for the next 4 years. Let's look at it. I think if you have any issues, you can always, you use the recommended methods. You go and picket. You can go to court, and you go and lobby. So I mean, all is not lost. You can always do all those three, and
Hmm.
you can get yourself heard. Because remember, all these politicians, their fear is numbers. Numbers are what they
Hmm.
fear. So
Right.
if they see a lot of numbers coming in, they'll be like, okay, we need to listen. So yeah, that's what
Absolutely.
I'll say.
And I think it is optimistic and hopeful. Some of these new persons of color, the Korean gentleman, the two African American ladies going into the Senate. We have a person from the LBTQITA community.
LGBTQ.
Is that right?
L-
Okay.
LGBTQ.
I thought it was IA. No?
Yeah, you can add the IA, but
Okay, got it. So, to have this representation, coming in January in the Senate, that may, help give it, some diversity in some of these matters, that legislation that can support people, and help people. So I feel like that's something to look forward to, you know.
because the cute thing about it is now you see an Asian, like for example, okay, you see an what do we have? We have Asian. Um, we have an Asian, the wife of the vice president. That's a first.
Hmm.
Millennial vice president. That's a first. You have the first Korean American, and then the first Kenyan born American. So the kids who come in Kenya from here from Kenya right now can say, okay, fine, it's been done. It's possible. I can do that. Then Usha Vance, who's the first Indian American Hindu. This is a mix here, but
Mhm.
what that tells you is that America is it a part of people, of immigrants who come here, and then it's a melting pot where people meet, and you kind of have this yeah, it's a melting pot where people come mix with each other, marry each other, and create this one big beautiful nation, if I may say so myself. um, and then again, you have Angela also Brooms and Lisa Blunt Rochester. They're African American women.
Mhm.
Slowly by slowly, it is creating the idea that it is possible, and young girls out there, black excellence, what black girl magic. This is what they see. This is what we're talking about when we talk about black girl magic. They see that and they emulate that, and they know that I'm not I'm not going to be determined by my surroundings. I have something to look forward to up there, and if she can make it, I can.
There you
That's all I
go.
want for my girls too. Yeah.
Mhm. For sure. So I think we need to look at the positives, and try to make lemonade out of these lemons. For sure. Definitely some positives came out of this election. I know everybody doesn't see it that way. All right. And Denise said, "Awesome, Jen."
And Denise is awesome, Jen. Yep.
Thanks for sure.
Black
And
Girl Magic.
definitely.
There we go.
All right. And so, with that, we will pivot. All right. And so, Sambaza had the upper. Okay. So before we do
Hmm.
that,
We
Sambaza
we
is
just
going.
we just came from something phenomenal that we need to talk about. Hey, and Jen, this was your first time being there, right? And go ahead.
So I was gonna,
Uh,
frame it that this segment of the show is going to be about podcast festivals, not just one in particular, but podcast festivals, plural. And Sambaza has significant things to share about each one, so we will let Sambaza share.
really,
Go
Jen? No,
ahead.
let me start with you. Let's start with you first. We attended Afros and Audio Festival. It was Jen's first time, and she actually was a volunteer for the at the Afros and Audio. Even though the issue was there was a marathon that was happening at the same time, so we had a problem getting there on time. But however, we got there, we did our jobs, and everything worked out fine. And Jen, what do you think about it? How was it? How did you like the overall thing?
So we did attend a festival called Afros and Audios, as everybody doesn't know what that is. And this is a podcast festival that is created by an African American that is for African American audio professionals. And so it's an opportunity for people to attend workshops, network with each other, and fellowship over a particular weekend. And so this was the sixth annual of this particular event, and we got to go and meet each other in person, actually. So that was pretty cool. So you'll see the artwork is a picture of me and Sambaza when we were there at the festival, and we attended some great workshops. And Sambaza was actually, as we mentioned in every show, a featured panelist and gave a great presentation that he will share about. But I will say, it's my first time attending live. I had a great experience. I got to have a lot of FaceTime with many of the guests on this show, and my plan was actually post a picture of the people that I met who were on the show in the episode, and like put those out. And we may do that like over maybe the holiday break, and like highlight some of those old episodes with some of our former guests. You know, Victor from Liquor Talk podcast, who's been on the show
Mhm,
way
mhm,
back, like season two.
mhm.
Walter Gaynor has been on her like two, three times,
Lord.
graciously. Um, Oh my God. Corey
Chris
was just
Ward,
on.
Dominic
Chris Ward
Ward.
was on, and we got to meet him. So, yeah, and I think that'd be a great time to re put those episodes out, and I'll put the picture of us meeting them. So that was a great time to do that because I've definitely been working hard on this podcast for some years now, and so we've actually built some great relationships with folks in the industry. And so that was cool. But we will let Sambaza share about his experience as a presenter.
Yes, and I want to say I'm really stoked about having the collaborations that are upcoming with people who we met. Several collaborations are going to be coming up soon. But I did a presentation which we talked about African storytelling, where we discussed how the way storytelling is in terms of being an African and how we integrate storytelling into podcasting as Africans in our own ways. Um, this was a panel of four, it was five. Moderator Claire, who was from Rwanda. Actually, she flew all the way from Switzerland, and there was Raphael, who's
Mm-hmm.
from Nigeria, and we have Paula, who's from Tanzania, and Rokaya was missing. Zenith was there, and Zenith Zambamba is from Zambia,
Mm-hmm.
and yours truly, of course, was part of that panel. Now, what I'll say is that the panel had a lot to talk about. We have a lot to share. And I think just that is a snippet of what is to come in the future regarding us talking more about African podcasting. And Jen, I think what I can say is it was a great time to sit there. And what I loved is I was able to come in my African outfit, which a lot of you will see in pictures. Um, that gave me a sense of pride that I'm able to represent my particular tribe, not the generic Kenyan, like the Maasai. I was actually representing my own tribe, which made me feel really, really special. Um, that will probably resonate to people who come to see it now or in the future with the fez hat. I think I'll say this. I actually wore the fez hat a week later at my son's party, end of year party,
Oh.
and he kind of liked it. And I think I'll be using that as something to kind of spread the knowledge regarding my tribe. Um, that's what I'll say about podcast that weekend. It was a nice weekend. We broke bread with a lot of the podcasters, co- gained friendships, and looked into how we can collaborate in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Most of those collaborations will come, and you will see them manifest in the near future. And shout outs to um, Kimani Uncle, who was previously in Afros and Audio, and he
Mm-hmm.
gave a great presentation about gardening and beets. So these are the things that we go through as podcasters, where we meet once a year here um, in Baltimore right now, and we are able to, you know, um, make enjoy our time together, create milestones, and also look into the future. And awesome event. If you're a podcaster, make sure you join in and do this. Oh yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. There we go. Yeah, that's it.
And you want to explain about what you're wearing?
This is an elder's clothing with a face hat and the whatever the sarong, we call it a sarong. Well, we call it shuka, the one that is tied.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I'm supposed to have both of them the same. They're supposed to be the same color, but
Okay.
I didn't realize that. I hadn't checked. So I used the Masai cloth that goes over my shoulder as the one to go on the top. But however, I changed it so that the sarong was the checked, and then the other one went over it. But all I'm saying is that represents my culture, and I'm happy to be a representative of it.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome. And I will share that, I did have an opportunity to view and listen to you guys' presentation, and it was great. It was beautiful. I think one of our friends shared that it really, made you feel proud to be, African American and to see everyone from all the different countries in Africa, sitting right next to each other. And for the one young lady to say, I was looking for another podcaster and I found Sambaza, and she actually reached out to you. And it's like, wow, it just shows you like that, how people, that connection, people seek that, all the way, and like the young lady that traveled all the way from Switzerland, it was amazing, you know.
Right. Shout
Hmm.
outs to Claire. That was awesome. Awesome. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to a lot. I mean, we were just scratching the surface on this one. And Jane, I think you and I on this collective, we can make it. We can make it happen. That we will get more info from these guys and kind of hear what they have to say.
For sure. This was supposed to be temporary or a project, and it's just kind of, organically.
Morphing into something else, growing. Yes,
Is that what you would call it?
morphing into
So
something else.
we'll see. You're still temporary, buddy. You want to address the additional comments?
Yes. We have Ed Campbell saying, "Congratulations, nice attire. I'm glad both of you had a fantastic experience. Thank you. Thank you so much." And then Denise says, "Exactly. Local elections are 100." Now, this was regarding the local elections and how they vote and why we stress on your local elections, because that's charity begins at home. Everything is right there near you. So you impact more on what is around you than the
Absolutely.
other aspects will come through. Yeah. And then the next thing is drum roll. So there's something called Peche Kucha, right? And this is for Podfest movement. So what they tell you is you have 20 slides and you're supposed to talk within 5 minutes. And I got a chance to be nominated or to be selected as one of the people to do the Pechakucha. Thank you
Eh.
as a speaker. What I'll say is, I think this is my stepping stone into the speaking part, where I think I have learned a lot to be able to talk and kind of time myself with the when just talking. You can talk and talk and talk, but there's a way you can talk and introduce yourself and do all that. It's just not talking. There's a sequence in doing things,
And a
and if you went
purpose.
to listen,
Correct.
right, and if you looked at or if you watched Chris Ward when he came on the show, he actually taught us how to become speakers as introverts. And I think I have learned to speak and speak much better than I was in public than I had before, and even on video, because I used to be scared just to turn on and come online. People see my face, but it has changed, and I do appreciate the fact that Jen, you brought me out into the world so people can see who I am, not somebody that that emoji or whatever the cartoon character.
Hmm.
What I'll say is this is my first time doing it, and I hope I do well. It's a starter. I know I'll be nervous, but it'll be of great intentions. I'll tell you what the subject matter will be about. I'm still working on it, but the 20 slides are supposed to run for 5 minutes exactly, and you have to make sure you get them done by then. You don't have to do 20. Well, they have to be 20. You can repeat the slides, but it just has to be 20 slides. So um, I'm just ready for it, and I'll be
So,
happy to.
first of all,
Okay, go
not
ahead.
hope, you will do well. So now I
Thank you.
hope you will do
I will
well.
do well. Yes.
You got this. So what about those visuals?
So the visuals, I have taken pictures around when I was in Kenya. So I have collected a couple of visuals, and I have some visuals down in history. So it's just a matter of just figuring out what exactly I'm going to be talking about, and then bringing the subject matter about it. And it's going to be great. It's going to be great. Let me talk the way I was talking about the Afros and audio presentation. We were really psyching up and saying, look, you got to come see it. It's dope. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to say about it. It's going to be nice and fun, and something that will be intellectually stimulating
There we
for
go.
people out there, right?
Absolutely. All right. That's awesome. I wish I could be there, but
I'll get a video. I'll get a video and an audio definitely for it.
yeah. Okay, please share that. So, but we'll
I'm
be
off there.
rooting for you, and we're excited for you to go on your trip. So, all
Thank you. Thank you.
right. Any other announcements that you need to make, Sambaza?
Oh no, those are my two announcements that I have. Other than that, I think some other things will come up starting January. I think I'm going to go back to the Sambaza podcast now because I've been holding on to so many episodes that have been sitting out there. So I need to come knock them off. They're already edited. I just need to post them over there. And yeah, it'll be. It's That's my small announcement. I need to get back to working on those other small projects here and there.
Absolutely. And we
And
invite
Christmas
you
is coming.
guys.
Oh, Halloween just passed, and Christmas is coming soon. Thanksgiving, hey, who knows what's coming?
Yeah, I was just gonna say we invite everyone to please check out the Sambaza podcast, the award nominated Sambaza podcast that Sambaza has created. We just celebrated his, was it 5 years?
5 years actually. Five,
Yeah,
yes,
with the
5 years.
podcast. So he has lots of content out there that please check it out. It's available on all the places that you can find podcasts. Sambaza podcast. Da-da-da.
All right, thank you. We have a
All right.
comment here. Denise says, "Move with caution. Everybody is not emotionally intelligent to discuss certain matters." And you're right, and that's the reason why I'm taking time to find a topic that is going to be that'll cover a lot of things. It's not niche. It'll just be something to have fun. The organizers said you don't have to be like uh you choose what to say. It's just a talk, chit chat. Yeah, it's not.
Absolutely.
Doesn't even have to be about podcasting. It's just chit chat. 5 minutes.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
my choice. Yeah.
Definitely. All those things that we talked about with Chris, to when you want to tell your story, it can be even something simple like, he started something with like something, a conversation with his son, and that morphed into a presentation. So, definitely keep it simple. It doesn't have to be this, difficult thing.
Yeah. Not
Mhm,
elaborate. Yep.
for sure.
So that's what we have. Those are the two major announcements that we have. I wish we could spend more time talking about the Afros and audio because um, I think there's a lot to talk about. But I think as we go along, we might start featuring it as a referencing it as back and forth. Jen, like when you go and talk about something, I'm like, hey, you know what? Afros and audio, they say this and this and that. This particular person said this, and then we'll kind of, revert to it. So it'll be like a living testimonial as we go
Yeah,
along
for
on the
sure. And then
collaborative.
isn't there a recap coming out soon?
Yes, there's a recap coming soon with the C4 Collective. November
Mhm.
11th. It's on at 8:30 Central Standard Time. No, 7:30 Central Standard Time, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, and it's going to be a recap on the podcast festival. And I wanted to add this.
Mhm,
I do have a blog post that I put out
mhm.
there, and this is regarding the African storytelling. That I just highlighted on who was on there and what they were doing. I guess you'll put a link on this show notes so that people can go ahead and look at the document. And please leave a
Yes.
comment, say how you like the document. Jen, please do, and that'll
Mhm.
be awesome. I'm kind of
And where?
looking forward to doing more blogs. It's on
Okay.
the Afros and Audio. I'll put a link out here, and then
Oh,
people
that
can
one.
go.
Okay, I remember that. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So people can go ahead and read about it. It's a 2 minute read, quickly. It's
Okay,
not too much. Yep.
we'll put the
All
link.
right. Then after this, I think we're ready to take it home.
All right. And so we do appreciate you joining us this evening. And we hope that today's conversation have inspired and enlightened you. If you found today's episode meaningful, please consider sharing it with friends or family, colleagues. Our collective awareness and advocacy play a crucial role in creating positive change. And so we ask you to stay tuned for more engaging content. And we look forward to continuing these important conversations in the future. So we thank you for being a part of Woke by Accident, Sambaza podcast collaboration. And until next time, we will
Oh,
say,
don't forget the IG live. Don't forget the IG live tomorrow.
okay, we're going to do it.
I think we're gonna do it, and we still have some
Okay.
more
Okay.
back episodes.
We'll
All
do
right.
it. So we'll
All
be
right.
on IG tomorrow evening. So please follow us and catch the IG. So we thank you guys and take care. Okay.